Hi! I'm Juan from Lore.Obscure. Welcome to our special one-shot tonight, inspired by the upcoming novel, My Lady Hiraya. Look at this little beauty. A queer romantic fantasy rooted in Filipino mythology, written by our dear friend Steven. Give it up! I like the novel itself releases on May 27th. Mark your calendars. But before you meet the lady within its pages, we at Lore.Obscure have prepared something a little bit different for today. A glimpse behind the curtain. A question whispered into candlelight. Who is the real Lady Hiraya? Who is she? Wow. To explore that, we are using a custom version of the Bluebeard's Bride game system. Say that 3 times fast, right?
Bluebeard's Bride game system. Bluebeard's Bride game system.
Hey, we're using it as a system where each of our players will embody a fragment of Hiraya's psyche, her rage, her desire, her grief, her discipline, her dreams. So we invite you to step inside Silakbo Manor, to walk its haunted halls, to journey through memory, guilt, and the echoes of a love that never had time to bloom. So before all that, let's meet the ones who are brave enough to wear her soul. Let's start over here.
Hi, I'm May, and I'm playing the romantic.
Hi, I'm Jay. I'm playing the commander.
Hi, I'm Div. I'm playing the animist.
Hi, I'm Steven. I'm playing the warden.
So, are you ready to begin?
Yes.
And with that, let's open the door. Nestled like a secret between roots and mist lies a village, Barangay Sampaguita. The villagers tend to their harvests, they pray to goddesses who have long stopped listening, and they do not speak of the manor. Not because they have forgotten it, but because it remembers them too well. Silakbo Manor stands as it always has, stitched from stone and shadow, vine-laced and war-torn. It towers like needles, sewing the sky shut. They call her the Scarlet Demon, but she's not red anymore. These days, the Lady Hiraya wanders the halls like a ghost that hasn't realized its own death. She weaves tapestries that bleed. She speaks only to mirrors. She remembers everything. And some nights like this one, she returns to the rooms that she cannot seal shut and opens the doors that she's too tired to lock. Not to forgive, not to forget, but to remember what she has done and what she has become. And maybe, just maybe, to decide for herself whether she still deserves to be loved. Thoughts keep reeling in her mind, again, one foot after the other. She was the sword, she was the savior, she was the reason the forest still breathes, but she was also the hand that turned the key, the mouth that stayed silent, the eyes that looked away, and the one that closed the door. Unfortunately, no one is only one thing, not even her. Who speaks in her mind as she enters her rooms?
She was right to lead, right to kill, right to choose the many.
But she left her, and love is not made for strategy.
The forest still remembers her promises.
They let her pay for breaking them.
This is the manor, and these are her rooms, and you are her mind, and frankly, what's left of Lady Hiraya. Let's open the first door. As you, the 4 sisters here, stand in a foyer of Silakbo Manor itself, you see a door. Usually the doors come one after another. This time, for some reason, this specific first door has revealed itself to you. As you open the door, all of you know exactly what's behind this one, which memory it holds. At this point, would anyone like to take on the mantle to present this room as a memory to be shared and protected?
I'll take the mantle.
Let me take the candle with you. And describe, what does the commander look like as she opens the room?
The commander is a soldier in crimson armor with a cracked visor.
What does her hair look like? I mean, all of you have white hair. You can describe how that is braided or anything like that.
I think it's braided at the side. Oh my goodness. Kind of how I did my hair.
Nice.
Okay, yeah.
Hell
So it's orderly on one side and the other side is neat, but it's not completely tied down.
Nice. As you open the door, Commander, you find all of you entering a stone chamber bathed in blue firelight. You see that there are shadows of what looks like trophies, not in the sense of like metal or gold, but trophies of the heads of monsters, pieces of memory from your time in battle or war. In the middle of the room itself, you see a basin of water that ripples silently. Its surface is glass-like, its depths unknowable. But all of you know what this basin is for. This basin is for scrying, for all of you to see or to look upon whoever might come forward in your minds, or to scry upon any location that you would like to look at. However, tonight, you, Commander, you know that there is a memory here that you want to preserve. Around it, you see all these grotesque trophies that hang from hooks. There are fangs, skulls, bones wrapped in red silk. There is a mural that spirals across the ceiling, sun and star forever nearly touching, but never quite. The room is not necessarily about glory. It is about what was taken. All of you notice as you enter the room, there are 3 objects in particular here. There is a dried foreskin of a capre. It is tied with a gold thread tied with a gold thread. You know what foreskins look like, right? I guess. I hope. If you don't, I don't think we need to describe it. You also see a part of a cracked statue of a Gawi Gawan, missing one of its head, and you also see the looking glass itself in the room. Is there anything in particular, Commander, that you want your sisters to see and pay attention to? How would you like to present this memory?
I think we're all laughing about the foreskin. Shall we go for that? I'd like to go for the foreskin, but before that, I'd like to take stock of the room.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me your resilience.
That's a 5.
5. That's pretty good. As you take stock of the room, immediately as the door closes behind you, you are met almost as if a 4-dimensional experience inside of this room. You see, firstly, dried ground littered, splattered with blood. Up ahead, you see a figure, feminine but strong, wrapping its arms against a creature while stabbing it into the throat. As the creature bleeds out, there is something that's whispered, but for now, none of you can catch that word yet. You can't quite remember what was there. Maybe some of you can. But as you see that this memory plays out, you remember that this was the moment you killed that creature. And for whatever glory that brings you, what you feel. As the other sisters look at you, Commander, as you are reveling in this memory, what do they see? What expression do they see?
They see a almost gleeful smile, I think. There is a success in killing the creature. There is glory to be reveled in.
As the other 3 of you who step into this room, describe what each of you see that might not possibly be about the glory. Warden, what do you see in this moment?
I think the warden sees the capra bleeding out on the ground, sees its blood pooling on its neck, running down its skin and going into the soil. And she thinks about how the soil drinks the blood and how it will continue to drink the blood for as long as Hiraya continues to kill.
The blood feeds the land for you. Romantic, what do you see in this horrible moment of death and violence?
I see the deep red passion that goes into the blade that stabs his neck. I see that rage that stems from love beneath Hiraya's eyes. I see the beauty of mortality.
Interesting. Mortality. When there is so much death in the memory itself. Animist.
The Animist. It is the way. The blood is spilled, and it will spill again. Such is the cycle. And I know my sisters, and I know that they know this well.
You feel like you know that well, right? You know them well enough. You know that whatever version of this memory that the commander is presenting to the three of you isn't complete. There's something she's trying to hide from you. You know exactly what it is. There is a name that the creature mentioned.
There is a name hidden well within the both of them. A name they hold tenderly or with a clawed vice grip. A name that does not seem as relevant to our sister, the commander. And she says, "Sister, there is something we should show her."
Should we? Does she need to see it? Or is it enough for us to know?
If you will not, then I will.
I will not stop you, sister.
The Animist steps into the room, her hair wild, her eyes sunken, elderly but ageless, terrifying yet innocent. She reaches out to the image of the beast.
You reach out to the image, you realize it's more corporeal than you remember. You can almost feel its neck.
She grabs its neck, her nails long like claws digging into his skin, and she reaches a wizened hand down its gullet to pull the name out.
Trisha.
Sister, what are you doing?
What must be done, sister?
Commander, this is what you tried to hide. You only saw this moment for its glory, but not for its pain.
This isn't relevant.
To you, sister, but it is a picture, and it is the truth. Certainly revel in our glory, but do not forget. Do not forget what sticks at the back of your mind like a thorn.
I do not dispute her existence, sister. But Trisha has nothing to do with our victory.
I would argue she has everything to do with your victory.
What has she contributed?
The Animist does not speak. She simply slinks to the back of the room, her face emotionless, the lights casting on her face the way the sun does on the surface of the moon. She knows she does not need to say anything.
The The rest of you, as you watch the memory play out, you see on your faces, played in the memory with her arm wrapped around the Capra's neck, you see a look of hesitation. Someone, she might have heard something, she might have not. The memory here isn't complete still. You might have time to still change it if you like. Does she remember or not?
I think the commander takes some time to weigh the pros and cons. At the end of it, if Trisha is such a big part to Hiraya, there is no harm in remembering the name.
I think the warden steps forward. She looks like a masked priestess with a blade at her hip. She has a cloak of red that looks like blood flowing from her shoulders, and at her wrist there's a small tattoo of a red rose. She strides forward, looks the commander straight in the eye, and she says, "Have you forgotten why we are here? Why any of this began? It began with her, and it will end with her."
I do not care who it began with or who it will end with, only that we come out on top.
But surely you know that
Which we have.
if not for Trisha, none of this would have been possible. None of this would even have begun. She is our promise. She is the promise that we broke. She is the memory that we've tried to forget. But we must not forget. Her name is written into every strike, every monster we slay, every blood that spills to the soil.
As soon as you say that, Warden, the memory in the room itself changes. Not changes, but it sort of flows through like a Rolodex, creature after creature, death after death, violence upon violence, monster after monster. To a point where all of you see its final image, what this room tells you before it shuts down, essentially. Standing, feminine, but strong. What should be Hiraya, what should be all of you, is instead a creature. A woman who stands, her face thorned as if parts of bone have broken out into her cheeks. You are not sure if you're looking at yourselves in a mirror or if you are looking at a monster. However, is it important for any of you to change this memory? This memory is turning into an acceptance. You feel in this room, you hear it. What if I am the monster?
I think I want to use dirty yourself with violence. And I want to kind of forcibly jerk our vision away from the monster to try to
I see.
bring our gaze away.
With your move, your mental move, you know that with your maiden move, you will be rolling blood for this. Do you have a additional modifier?
No.
I see. So let's see if you can get a 4 or higher.
Okay. That's a 9.
9.
The romantic waltzes in, her silks on her arms flowing through the wind of the room, the breath that stays. And I glance over at the warden, my sister, and I grab her shoulders.
Sister. That's not who we are, sister.
There is beauty.
There is no beauty in this abomination. This is the person we've been running from. This is not who we are.
Why run?
The rest of you see the image already starting to darken. She is succeeding in turning all of you away from this memory.
Why must you run from something that is natural?
There's nothing natural about this. There's nothing natural about death, of destruction we've wrought, of what we've done.
Nothing natural of death, but death is but part of the cycle.
Not the death that we wrought, sister,
What of our death? That we chase?
but we will never die. We must never die.
The animist stands between her two sisters, looking back and forth in this discussion. She knows the monster too well. She knows the monster as herself. The part of herself, nay, the whole of herself, in the times that her sisters wish to push her away the most. She is relishing in the moment, in her sisters being forced to look upon the truth that she lives. Every bit of anger, of blood, of rage, of primal greed and grief.
And I miss it was so easy for the warden to just push you away, to shut you down.
Look upon her, sister.
I will not.
It is only when you look upon her that she will lose her power to control you. But the more you look away, her claws will sink in, and as she does, she rests a hand on the warden and sinks her claws in. Be wise, sister.
She's not us. If we don't look at her, we don't give her power, we can be better.
But she'll always be there. If you
Doesn't
look at her,
matter.
you can witness and see. Look at the sharpness of her spikes. Look at the curves of her face. The passion that lies beneath those eyes. Do you not see that same passion within us?
Sister, you blind yourself.
The
There's
commander
nothing beautiful.
steps up. Sisters, enough. Let me propose the truth and let us move on. We have many victories, and Trisha played a part in those. We did our victories for her. I will attribute our victories to her. Are we in agreement? Yes. We exit the room.
You step out, and again, this happens all of the time. You know that the next room will be waiting. You have some time here while you're in the hallway. You see your ghostly servants doing their menial tasks, cleaning the curtains, sweeping the floor, dusting the books. On your way to the next room, are there any discussions that perhaps need to be hidden from the other sisters? Some disagreements to be reconciled?
As we leave the room, is it possible for us to glance into the looking glass? So not to scry on anything, but to just look at the reflection that is
Are
in
you
the
doing
water.
it?
Yes.
Okay. Commander, as you leave the room, you feel the mantle on your shoulders lift. Right before you exit line of sight from the room, you see that the mantle sort of apparates around the warden's shoulder as she leans forward and stares into the looking glass. Usually you're looking for something, but for this moment, for this memory, you are looking at a version of yourself. I can't tell you what you see, Warden. I'd like to ask you two questions. Firstly, what do you hope to see?
Hiraya hopes to see, or the warden hopes to see, a version of Hiraya that unblemished, white silky hair cascading over her shoulders, armor polished, lipstick done, confident in herself, looking forward. What I actually see is, in Hiraya's eyes are normally red. but those red eyes, the pupils or the red dots in the eyes expand to fill the whole eye. So then if you look into her eyes, it's just a solid crimson red. And then she sees that in the reflection, the crimson staring right back at her, and then the warden, I think, kind of lashes out at the water, splashing it across the floor, and quickly moves to walk away.
I won't call that any lashing out necessarily. You do what you do, Warden. You try to push everything bad away, look away, right? But you realize that as you leave the room, the reason the basin told you the truth and showed you those big red eyes staring back at you was because the truth that was proposed didn't answer both questions asked. The proposal answered the question of attributing the glory to her, to Trisha, but it didn't answer whether there is a monster on the inside. You reckon that's why it was hesitant to let you go?
But that's not a question the warden wants answered.
True.
It's a question the warden is happy to leave unanswered.
You walk away, the three of you, while you're waiting outside the hallway on the way to the next room. Any discussions?
What did you see, sister?
Nothing. I saw nothing.
You couldn't have seen nothing. You had to see yourself.
The water showed what it always shows. It shows us. It shows us as we are.
But it should have shown someone else, no?
Sister, I think you know what I mean when I say it shows who we are. I do not wish to speak of it.
I understand. Shall we move?
Let's go.
As we're all in this hallway heading over to the second room, which all of you know it will be the bedroom. On your way there, Warden, you make haste, as you usually do. Romantic, something about what the warden said previously doesn't sit right with you. And I will allow for you to make a roll if you would like to inquire more.
I grasp the warden's hand and I stop her from running away from me. Sister, what's wrong? Is there anything to say? Are you sure you only saw what we always see? You seem shaken.
I do not wish to speak of it.
I'm going to attempt to care for my sister.
Okay. I would like for you both to make a contested roll, please. 2d6s plus your modifiers. Come on, come
You got
on.
this.
5.
Warden, as the romantic sort of inquires deeper into your soul, you can definitely tell that they're trying to ascertain whether you are lying or not. What do they actually see in you trying to hold back this information that you've just found out?
I think you see the fear in the warden's eyes. You see her guilt. You see her everything that kind of she's tried to defend ourselves from. She's scared of it. She's scared that it will burst forth like a broken dam.
There's no shame in being afraid, sister. There's beauty in being human and being mortal.
Okay, you cannot say that there's beauty in everything.
But there is. There's beauty where you see it.
Is there beauty in death?
There's art to be made of death.
But surely we should not seek out death. We should not seek out to bring death before its natural conclusion. That cannot be beautiful. Not everything can be beautiful, sister.
I do not believe I'm saying that we should seek it out. I believe that we should witness it. If we are to be here forever, we should witness.
And what would you witness, sister, at our greatest shame?
Love and humanity.
But was it love? Was it love if it had the ending that it did?
Why would the ending affect what happened in the moment? We loved Trisha, and she loved us.
We did not deserve that love. We still don't.
Just because we are not deserving does not mean that we did not receive it.
I can't. Let's go to the next room.
Warden, as you are having this, as you end this discussion without a clear resolution, I will allow you to choose whether it is of grief or compassion, but you will be taking a fragment. Will you be grieving this non-resolution, or will you be showing compassion to it and letting it perhaps move you?
I think it is a moment of compassion where Warden realizes that maybe the romantic is a point.
Okay. I would like for you to mark a fragment on your tracker, please. Just as a note, if anyone's fragment tracker goes up to full, that part of Hiraya's psyche breaks, and all that it was carrying with it will be released onto all of you and onto Hiraya. So, as all of you stand in front of the bedroom, again, you all know what to expect. Who is opening the door? Yeah.
The Warden opens the door.
As soon as you open the door, the rest of you immediately see the mantle automatically apparate around her shoulder, and as all four of you step into the room, you see your bedroom chamber blanketed in fabric, color, memory, luscious reds, dark maroons, warm, low lights. There are tapestries on the wall, but you can almost feel as if each tapestry is not just a memory, it's not just part of a life lived, it is a heartbeat, a confession, a secret never said out loud. For this memory is not just a memory of your bedroom, because why? It is a memory of moments that only lived in this room. There are gold thread that glimmers on the bed itself, sort of showing through golden shadows, two figures reveling in love in the bed. You don't hear the actual words, but you definitely hear whispers spoken between the two, promises made, promises that you all know never came true. Within this room itself, there is a half-finished tapestry of two figures, one cloaked in red, the other one faceless, both feminine. You also see a fur blanket on the bed itself. There is lingering smell, perfume that all of you know very, very well. And there's also a jewelry box sitting on the vanity. Warden, what would you like for your sisters to focus on in this memory?
I think the Warden walks slowly towards the locked jewelry box, kind of runs her fingers over the wood, feeling it, thinking about what's inside, and opens it up.
You open it, and again, all of you know exactly what's inside. It is a pressed flower, a specific flower from the city where Hiraya met Trisha all those years ago, centuries now. Perfectly preserved. As soon as that jewelry box is open, as soon as the Warden's fingers touch the flower, the room itself, you now hear voices. You hear sounds of happiness and joy, glee, desire, lust, but something else. all of you feel a sense of uncertainty, but you can't tell from which figure. Warden, who do you determine is confident between those two figures? And who is the one casting doubt?
The one in doubt is us, and the one confident is her.
Looking at the memory of the two figures in bed,
Right.
it's almost as if you can hear their whispers. You can decide what those whispers are.
Okay.
If you are confident that the uncertainty comes from you,
I think Hiraya is slowly kind of whispering or listening to Trisha, whispering in her ear, watching as Trisha kind of lightly strokes her hair, ever so slightly, It's not white yet, then, just slowly stroking it. But her stare is kind of a million miles away, and she's looking up at the ceiling. And it seems like Trisha is not getting through to her at all. And she's thinking about how much time they have left, how it's inevitable that someone will discover them, how she shouldn't even be here, how, what would they all think back at the commune? What would the sisters think? What would the matrons think?
for the three of you, what do you think? What do you remember about this memory? Romantic.
We were both confident. Neither of us was in uncertainty. Your memory is marred by what we have experienced. But back then, neither of us knew.
But we did know. We had to know.
You know now.
We were students. We knew we were at the commune. We knew what the sisters said about this kind of love. That this kind of love cannot be blessed by Mahal, cannot be blessed by the goddess of love. We knew it had to end. We knew it was fleeting. So why did we stay?
Animist. You remember there was a deep desire to fight against anyone who would say no to the love shown in this room. For some reason, the warden never let it get that far. Kept worrying. Think of what you could have been.
The fear, the worry, is something the animist knows very well. And the height of love, the love that the romantic speaks of, is also something the animist knows very well. The look in Hiraya's eyes in that moment has been burned into the animist. The moment she steps into the room, the weight is almost overwhelming. The weight. It is like a ton of bricks, but also it is a ton of bricks that she has been carrying for all these years. She is almost made aware of it, like a horse drawing a cart. She's used to it, but as the scent of Trisha washes over her, not just the perfume, but the scent of her very skin, a scent burned into her that the warden and the commander have tried so hard to dissipate. She walks around the room gingerly, almost pitifully, for she knows what is to come, and she knows that she can't change the past. She looks over at the romantic. You are right, sister. The pain does not change the love. But I believe we may never love again like this.
As soon as you say that, the room, all the reds in the room sort of burn brighter. You see the gold shimmering figures on the bed almost start to burn like ember veins. The fear of never being able to love again is burning the two figures away, almost as if the memory is being burnt off. Commander, you know this moment, this time in your lives, it was going to be fleeting anyway. It was a waste of time. Let it burn. You see, romantic, you see the warden trying to hide away the beauty from you of this moment. Warden, there is fear here. Was it too much? Is it too much? As you see Animus going towards the bed, as you see the figures burning, what happens? What do you think happens if this memory burns away, if this memory burns too brightly? What do you think it will do to you?
I think the warden sees the flames start to go up and she thinks that this fire cannot burn too brightly, or else it will spark out and consume us. But it also cannot burn too low, because then that fire will not, because then we will forget and everything will have been for nothing.
At this point, I will say the Animus is getting very close to lashing out in violence for what she wants. For all of you to see the passion, the pain that could have been.
I want to cry out for help. And I want to cry out for help specifically at the commander. And as I see kind of the Animus do this, and I want to look over at you and I want to say, and the warden wants to say, you know what needs to be done.
To keep the Animus under control.
Yeah. This memory cannot consume us. It cannot become all we are. We can remember it, we can think about it, but it cannot consume us.
The commander turns to the Animus. Sister, if we look at this now, will you let it burn away?
It will not burn away. It burns as embers do, as coals do, as magma under the earth does, as the sun does. These things will never stop burning.
Then at least can it burn bright enough for us to not look at it anymore?
You will always have to look. Even if you look away, you will see it in your dreams, you will see it behind your eyelids, and you know this to be true. This burns like a forest in flame, like a grassland that comes alight every summer. This will always remain.
Animist, between the discussions you're hearing between Commander and Warden, it feels as if they have an idea of what the truth of this room will be. Is that something you like to do?
The Animus looks at her sisters, satisfied that they understand. The flames of passion, the shake of fear, the uncertainty of youth. And she steps back and the flames die down as she says, "Into embers, still burning, perhaps not a flame."
All of you hear now clearly the voice coming from the two shadows in the bed. One of them whispers, "We'll see each other tomorrow, right?" The other one says, "Yeah, of course. They're not gonna find out about us. There's no way. We'll be quiet. We'll be careful. No one will find out. We'll be safe." All of you hear in your collective minds. Do you hear doubt? Or do you hear Hiraya dreaming that they will be safe? One, what do you hear?
The warden hears Hiraya's voice shake, but then build into confidence. A confidence that is maybe built on an unstable foundation, but at this moment, it's strong enough, at least for now.
You have the mantle. You may speak to Trisha if you wish. These are the only moments where you can. In the memory.
Trisha, is what we're doing wrong?
How can it be, my love?
I was talking to the sisters and it's not natural. It's not what the goddess would want of us.
You immediately feel, and all of you feel, Trisha caress your cheek, hold you by the chin, pull you closer. Even before you can finish your sentence, she plants a kiss on your lips. Does that feel unnatural to you? It feels like the most natural thing.
What will we do if they find out?
Run away. No one will get in between us. We'll run together, right?
I think that I kind of take her hand into mine, and I think I'm not looking at her when I say this, but I say, I wish I could be as brave as you.
The animist, as you look off, the animist sits next to Trisha and smiles. A smile, strangely enough, not the wry, coy smile that knows the pain, but for a minute, she has almost become the deepest part of Hiraya that knew. The pain, the fear, but more than anything, the primal blood that ran in her veins, the forces that, despite everything that the world told her, pushed her to believe that this was real and true. When she looks at Trisha and she says, I will see you tomorrow.
You will. But perhaps tomorrow doesn't have to come too soon. And all of you feel Trisha pull your neck forward and lock yourselves in a kiss. Commander, this is a ticking time bomb. You know that the longer this kiss lasts, the longer this love lasts throughout the night, only one of you will really make it out of this room safe. Well, as safe as you can be from death.
I think the commander walks towards the animus, puts her hand on her shoulder. Sister, I think this is enough.
What do we do then? Pull them apart? How long again? How long till we get to feel this again?
We cannot dwell on this. You and I both know this is over.
If it has happened, why can we not witness it? For all your words about how there is ugliness and there is pain and there is suffering, is this not then the truest form of beauty? Is this not then love in its purest form?
I do not deny that this is love. I just think there's no point in dwelling on something that we can't have anymore.
But we can witness it.
Where is Trisha now?
As you ask that question out into the room, Animist, as you are taking on the mantle, you almost feel that tight embrace from Trisha almost stop and freeze. Her fingernails clawed into your back in pleasure, but you know that the freeze stops because the memory has stopped.
The animist, she knew that this was going to happen. She nods knowingly, and she gets up and she says, Sisters, we should take our leave. And as she does, she hands the mantle back to the warden. The warden.
Warden, you feel Trisha's embrace. How hard is it for you to unwrap yourself from this memory and propose a new truth?
I think it's the hardest thing that she's ever done. But I think that the warden and Hiraya both move away from Trisha, seeing her kind of locked in that memory, kind of frozen in time, and tries to, her face smiling, perfect, just as Hiraya always remembered her, and tries to preserve that image for as long as she possibly can. And I think that the truth she proposes is the same that the animist just said, which is, I will see you again tomorrow.
Do any of your other sisters disagree? Miro?
Just flatbread. Hey, that's 10.
Wow!
You walk, expecting for the room to stay locked. But you know, in all of your minds, the truth was, yes, you were hoping to see her the next day. The truth doesn't change. The door opens. As all of you leave Romantic, you see Trisha as that last memory, smiling in joy and beauty. But this time, the door closes. This manor hides it from you.
A part of me knows that we won't see her again tomorrow. Even with all my belief and joy. And I look over to the animist. Sister,
Yes.
did they need to burn?
Does the water of the river need to flow? Does the tide have to rise? Does the sun have to set?
Sister, I do not care for your platitudes.
These aren't platitudes, sister. These are truths. There are things that we can't control.
But why must they burn?
They burn as our love does. They burn as shame does. They burn as fear does. They burn because that is what it is.
Romantic, all you hear is there goes the animist again, trying to ruin the beauty of every moment.
There is no point in burning when there is no such thing as an eternal flame. Why can we not allow moments to simply be? Why must there be a purpose in everything? And she turns to the warden and the commander. Why?
The next door pulls up in front of you as all of you find yourselves walking towards it. Again, you know what this room will be. It is a library.
The animist would like to care for the romantic before we venture into the second room.
Go ahead and roll blood.
6.
7.
What do you say to
8. I +1.
A?
That was a good catch.
It's a 7.
7 or so.
Yeah,
It's a 7.
same.
It's a
It's a tight
7.
7.
Yeah, we're tired.
Math.
7.
The gays can't math.
+1.
Yeah.
It was just a +1.
So 7 tight.
I was 2 in the moment.
7
Yeah,
tight.
we're
Tight. We're tied.
Yeah.
7 tight.
It's a 6 plus 1.
Fight. Like in person. No.
Hey, do you want to? Hey, do you want to? Y'all can dirty yourselves with violence before we get to the next room.
Me?
At this point is a stalemate.
Still. So wait, dirty yourselves with violence. Would that mean that we roll off again?
What does a stalemate look like?
So I mean, neither. Basically, Animus has said their piece, Romantic has said their piece, but no one is offering a solution. Very much like the Romantic and Animist, the commander reflects.
Okay, I'll tell you this. If you want to, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. The animist looks at her sister. All you can see the beauty in blood and guts and foreskins, but not the beauty of a love destroyed. Sister, things are not perfect, and you may wish they were. But as long as you do, you are running at a wall. You are turning your eyes blind. And that will not serve us.
Go ahead and roll.
Is that blood? That is blood. 5.
5. Would you like to contest that? Okay. At this point, if it was higher than a 6, I would let you choose which type of fragment you take. But I feel like being forced to face a possible truth from one of your sisters, I feel like you would take a fragment of grief.
Because it was dirty with violence, right? So
As you take that fragment of grief, a part of you understands. You can't look at all of the beauty. And now, romantic, you worry that the more rooms you go into, the more memories you face. What if the rest of your sisters keep taking away the beauty, that there will be none left for you to remember, there will be none left for you to hold? Then, what are you? We get to the next room.